I mean, somebody. Yeah, full up, brother. Full up to blood clot. First me was say I can't mash up such a blood. That's like on B13. Mash up. Somebody are dead. Rough boy.
Welcome to True Jamaica Buzz, news and entertainment with Buzz. First thing that is popping in the news, based on the video's edited version that you saw at the start of this, is of an accident that took place in a license in St. Thomas, in which at least one person lost his life, lost control, licking at some sorts of concrete object, immovable object. That car was smashed. That man's head was smashed. Looked like the vehicle fling him through the windshield, and then that vehicle ended up on top of him, pretty much squashed him out.
In other news, 2 people died in separate crashes last night, pushing the country's road death toll for July even higher. In one incident, 29-year-old Roger Affleck of Port Morant died following a 3-vehicle collision along the licensed main road in St. Thomas about 11:50 p.m. Wednesday. The police say about 11:45, all 3 vehicles were traveling in an easterly direction. A Mercedes-Benz was ahead, followed by a Toyota Wish, and a Corolla driven by Mr. Affleck was behind. Mr. Affleck attempted to overtake the Toyota Wish, but failed to complete the maneuver. His vehicle then collided with the right side of the Toyota Wish, lost control, and crashed into the concrete sidewall of a minor bridge. The impact also pushed the Toyota Wish into the rear of the Mercedes-Benz. All 3 drivers were taken to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where Mr. Affleck, who was seriously injured, was pronounced dead. The other 2 drivers were treated for minor injuries and released. A few hours earlier in Clarendon, a 30-year-old man died following a motor vehicle collision along Dawkins Bend Main Road about 8 p.m. Since the start of the year, 160 road fatalities have been recorded, 39 of which have been recorded in July alone.
Now, people, when we see stuff like this, and we hear that in excess of 400, 500 people in an annual basis, and we hear say people are dead on the road like fly because they don't want to obey the speed, don't want to obey the laws, rules, road code, none at all, and then them end up like this, there should actually be zero sympathy for the driver. Condolences to the family member, but we've seen this all before. So therefore, if you don't learn from the mistakes of others, then this is insanity. Point blank and period. Next thing that is popping in the news is some updates or some corrections about something that I spoke about with a shootout that took place in a Bag district that is in Westmoreland. At first I saw this and I look at these suspects are the person that were taken out. And I said to myself, there's no way under the sun these elderly people are actually involved in a crime and violence. And based on what the residents were saying, them a farmer, them raise this, them plant this. Yeah, he might hustle or one of them might hustle little weed, but that is about it. Was definitely no sorts of shootout. There was no gun, rate, lele, blue, blah, blah. As a matter of fact, I am going to let you hear what the newscasters had to say, hear what the residents and friends from that community had to say, and then I am going to show you a text that I got from somebody that actually knows these people and knows what they're about and know the type of lifestyle that they were living.
Two women, two alleged police confrontations just days apart, one in Manchester and the other in Westmoreland. Now they're both dead. In Manchester, the police described Satania Booth as a woman who acted as the spy and scoped out areas, then called her cronies. In Westmoreland, Carleen Henry was among a group of men who police say was allegedly carrying a high-powered rifle and alighted from a vehicle and opened fire on the police. The incidents have reignited questions about the presence of women among alleged criminals and their role in the criminal underworld.
Why would we want to sit down every day and say that the women they're not trouble nobody, they can't?
For decades, the face of violent crime in Jamaica has been dominated by males, from the gang leaders, wanted suspects, to persons of interest. However, investigators say organized crime has never been about gunmen alone. So, where do women fit in that picture? We put the issue to anthropologist Dr. Herbert Gale.
We have them as sentinels. Those are the ones that are on the road that make the phone call, that alert. We have them as gun bags, they store weapons. We have them as invitees, where they bring in people from different communities into communities to commit violence, and nobody knows who. So women do a lot of and participate a lot in violence, in organized crime.
Dr. Gale argues that behind many criminal operations are people whose names rarely make the headlines. But a study released by the Caribbean Policy Research Institute, CAPRI, in February 2025 suggests the reality is complex. CAPRI found that while police reports fuel the perception that women are playing a larger role in violent crime, arrest and incarceration data do not show a corresponding increase in women's involvement in violent offenses. But for some Jamaicans, the bigger question is not whether women are involved, it's why. Dr. Patrice Charles King is lead counseling psychologist at the Phoenix Counseling Center.
They have to either facilitate or engage in crime. So they give themselves permission. Now, rationalization is a cognitive distortion from a psychological perspective. And so when you are convincing yourself that this is the right thing to do, this is the only way to feed your kids, to send them to school, to pay your bills, you're basically convincing yourself to engage in crime. But then there are also those women that have experienced trauma, especially childhood trauma.
And so there are questions about how these women move away from the life of crime. For executive director and co-founder at E4Life, Joy Crawford, support is critical.
We have a culture in our society where people feel powerless, because if I stand up against an oppressor, where do I go for protection? What is in place for me? You know, what has the government put in place in terms of witness protection? If I have to move from my home and my community, where am I going to go? So there are those concerns that a lot of women have to say, it better me stay or me do what I have to do to protect my children.
The women killed by the police during the reported confrontations with armed thugs remain at the center of active police investigations. However, a broader conversation lies beyond the incidents: how criminal networks continue to evolve and whether society is doing enough to stop vulnerable persons, such as women, from becoming a part of them.
Now, people, the news and the residents said some important things. So yes, these are farmers. Yes, them raise chicken. Yes, them plant rete, lele, blue, blah, bling. And yes, that individual might sell or buy little weed. Well, people, some of that is true. But it seems as if it ran deeper, way, way deeper than that. The man that sells the weed is actually involved in a whole bunch of smuggling. The next man also intricately involved. As a matter of fact, just in case you don't know, a lot of these farmers, they are not simple farmers, meaning in a St. Elizabeth, meaning in a Westmoreland. Anywhere that weed sell, there's going to be gun for drugs, meaning that they go to Haiti or they go different country and they come back. And while most of them, most is the operative word, intention, is not to mix the weed with the guns. That is part of the trade that happens in Haiti, amongst other places. When those guns come to Jamaica, directly, you have something to do with any one of those guns being used to take out anybody, shoot up anybody, threaten anybody. So therefore, indirectly or directly, you are involved in the crime and violence, whichever way you want to look at it. So people, you heard what the residents had to say, and like I said, somebody sent me a text. If you look at the screen as I speak, they are saying, yes, me know this individual. Yes, we went to school together. Yes, I saw him XYZ. And yes, I would not be surprised if there was a gun in the vehicle. However, that individual would not use that gun for any sorts of attack on anybody. And people, like I said, if you're selling weed and you're trading guns, you might have a gun just for your protection. Whether your intention is to use it against anybody that want to rob you or harm you, it is still illegal. Whether you're using it against the police, whether there was any sort of shootout, rate, lay, blue, blah, blah. So therefore, they were guilty. And if you ask most Jamaicans, if you think that the police shouldn't take them out, maybe it is going to be 50-50, I think. Maximum people would say that if they are involved directly or indirectly, they should have been gone until or unless it is your own family. Now, people, things have changed drastically for the worse as it pertains to persons who are facilitators, enablers of criminal, whether it is your son, whether it is your boyfriend, whether it is your husband. Now, people, you heard exactly what the experts had to say. They assess and analyze the psychology of women as it pertains to crime and violence, being facilitators, persons that are lookout, persons that hide the guns for them, persons that whenever they are rolling on the road, if the police see a man and a woman look like husband and wife, they're going to think differently. If them say two man and them man face look kind of criminal. We know that Jamaica is a stereotype place. If you look like Chopper, more than likely you're going to get stopped, you're going to get searched. If you look decent, like a hard-working person, especially, if you look like you come from uptown, more than likely, they're going to just tell you, drive and go ahead. The sad thing is that most of these uptown people are the people that are involved in the big-time crime as it pertains to smuggling, as it pertains to drugs. However, that is our next case for our next day. So people, you heard what the expert had to say, and I am going to give you a couple of references. There's a whole bunch of cases in a whole bunch of court in Jamaica, from Kingston, Montego Bay, Negril, 14 parishes in Jamaica, or whatever. There are cases in which a lot of young girls, women, are used to lure men in, go to places, meet men, unsuspecting men, promise them some sorts of PUMS for some cash, make these men come at them location in some volatile community. These men are robbed, tied up, held hostage, them credit card, them bank card, them debit card, everything is drained. Sometimes they are shot, sometimes they are KILLED, sometimes they are KILLED and then burn up and left in the bushes. A lot of times when they escape or live, they then file court cases against these people. These people go to court. These husbands that are victim or was robbed or was lured are just equal participant in some sorts of FUCKRY. Their wife is right there with them in courts. There are even cases in which taximen posing as cabbie have a woman in the vehicle. Sometimes that woman have a baby, and what they would do, pick up unsuspecting, mostly women. They would then take them to the bushes. They would then jump over them fence, rob them, take with them bank card, get the passcode, use that. Sometimes them kill them, sometimes them just RAPE them. All the while that lady is in the front seat, that is the person, that is the bait. Sometimes that girl have a baby to make it looks more convincing. She would then listen while these women are getting RAPED by these men, usually two at least. And then she would go home with her part of the proceeds of crime and she would feel A-OK. My point is that this just tells you the involvement in a criminality. So while most of the times the women are not out here pressing the trigger, they are the ones that are lowering. They are an equal participant to a conspiracy to rob, to R-A-P-E-R, even M-U-R-D-E-R. So therefore, they are just as guilty. They are just to be held just as accountable. So I say this to say that when we see what is going on in these two incidents in which three persons, both cases, two women or two men and a woman was held, two men and a woman was killed back to back, one in a Manchester and then the next one in a Westmoreland. And we hear the same old same. So people, what this tells us is that these women are equal participants, facilitators of FUCKRY, gun runners, all sorts of criminal elements. So people, what this means is that the terms of engagement in persons that are involved in a criminal activity, whether you're out here pressing the trigger, whether you're out here selling these guns for drugs, whether you're out here robbing people, whether you're out here doing any sort of criminal activity, that is deemed to be to the detriment of the country. The system, when I say the system, it involves your prime minister, it involves your parliamentarian, it involves lawmaker, it involves security, justice minister, the commissioner, high-ranking police, is that you are to be gone without a shadow of a doubt, meaning that KILLED on spot. You will not be given any sort of opportunity to explain yourself. It is going to be a shoot first and then ask questions later. We see it. We're seeing the signs back to back. 3 people lose their life, both cases women. The only way that this is going to change is if and when, and it is only inevitable, that there is going to be a case in which children or a child is going to be in a vehicle and the police is going to take that same action. And then you're going to hear the prime minister, you're going to hear all sorts of politicians come out and say sympathy, condolence to the family. People, like I said, Jamaica is a reactive instead of proactive. But as we speak, the protocol is that if you're a criminal element and the police have you under surveillance, they are going to blaze up that car with whomever is in it. So therefore, if you get picked up and at the wrong place at the wrong time, you're going to be sent to the wrong place. One thing we know for certain, one thing that we know for sure, in both cases, yes, the people were guilty. The first case, they were on some sort of robbery spree. The next case, meaning in a bag, meaning in a Westmoreland, they were actually surveillance. They were followed. Whether there was a shootout or not, in my opinion, I doubt it very much. However, the difference or the end result is always going to be the same. They achieved their objective. They got rid of 3 criminal elements. 2 of them more guilty, meaning the man. The woman is married or in some sort of relationship with a criminal. So therefore, if you are involved in a relationship with a criminal element, that means that you have first on what that person is doing. The trickle-down effect, meaning these guns for drugs that is coming into Jamaica and leading to people actually losing their life. So therefore, there is going to be no sort of sympathy. You are just as liable. And if you're liable, you're also liable to lose your life. Point blank and period.
The Independent Commission of Investigations is probing another police fatal shooting of a man in Bayshore Park, St. Andrew, early this morning. He has been identified as a 47-year-old Marcus Russell, otherwise called of Bayshire Park, Harborview and Goldsmith Villa, August Town. The police say about 6:15 a.m., an unidentified male believed to be Marcus Russell opened gunfire at them, resulting in him being fatally shot by the police. It's reported that the police were conducting an intelligence-led operation at the premises under the authority of a search warrant. The police say when Russell became aware of their presence, he jumped through the bathroom window, then ran across several premises. They reportedly pursued him through a track and intercepted him, at which point he fired at them. A shootout followed, during which Russell reportedly fell to the ground, still holding a firearm. According to the police, a Glock pistol loaded with 4 live rounds was seized. Russell was transported to hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Police intelligence indicates that Russell was a member of the Bayshore Park gang and was involved in contract killings. The police say he was also implicated in several murders and shootings in Bayshore Park. This is the 4th reported fatal shooting by the police in less than 48 hours. Since the start of the year, 179 police fatal shootings have been recorded, 20 of which have occurred in July.
So the next thing that is popping in the news, based on the video that you see on the screen as I speak, I had to adjust the audio because of music, copyright strikes, trying to avoid them. We see that there's a standoff between 2 vehicles. Now, people, when it comes to Flatbridge, very dangerous place, most persons fear it, whether a dopey, whether a jinx, whether a curse, whatever the case is. I think most of the time the curse is the people and their mentality. Very impatient. Usually the stoplight is working. That bridge is a flat bridge, like you see, a flat straight bridge. That bridge is probably about 20 meters or so, don't quote me. So therefore, even if the light is not working, and usually it is, with the exception of any sort of electrical interruption, somebody must see who was right, who had the right away, who had the wrong away, if there's such a word. So therefore, we have to ask ourselves the question, how is it that these 2 individuals end up in the middle of the bridge, stand off against each other? People, don't you see that this is the heights of ignorance, the heights of darkness, the heights of people trying to show and prove? Don't know who was right, don't know who was wrong, but we know that this is something wrong in Jamaica. The mentality of the people, them dark and full, and this is yet an perfect example. So the next thing that is popping in the news, a lot of times, I am not recommending that anybody go to prison, but a lot of these men in Jamaica is end up in a prison at some age in which, if they went to prison, none at all, they should be at least looking forward to coming out. I am speaking about an incident in which a 60-something-year-old man was taken out at the Tower Street facility, criminal facility, jail or prison, whatever they want to call it. He was taken out by 2 individuals that were much, much younger than him. I think one of them was 40, the next one was 21. I want you to take a look, and then I'll give my piece.
2 inmates at the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center in Kingston have been charged with murder over the death of a fellow inmate during an altercation. Charged are 22-year-old Carlton Thompson and 46-year-old Paul Williams. The deceased has been identified as 60-year-old David Johnson. The police report that about 9 p.m. on Thursday, June 18, Thompson and Williams became involved in an altercation with Johnson. During the dispute, Johnson was allegedly attacked and assaulted by the 2 men. On Friday, June 19, Johnson, who had sustained multiple injuries, was taken to hospital where he died while undergoing treatment. The police say a post-mortem later revealed that he died from multiple instances of blunt force trauma. Following investigations into the incident, Thompson and Williams were charged with murder.
Now, people, when we listen to stuff like this man, a 60-year-old, don't know whatever reason he had to be in a prison. There could be various reasons. The suspects, 40, 20-something. However, both of them decided that they want to gang up on this elderly man. They want to clot him up. They want to end up take away this man's life. Now, people, truth be told, you don't know anybody's background. You don't know what they are involved with. You don't know if this 60-year-old man is some sort of petty, some sort of predator. Whatever the circumstances are, he ended up in a very bad predicament in which he actually lost his life at the hands of 2 other inmates, only in a Jamra, very predatory place. Point blank and period.